So, suppose we have a motorcycle of 220 kilograms and it's going towards a hill at a speed of 35 meters per second. The two wheels of the motorcycle each weigh 12 kilograms and are annular rings with an inner radius of 0.28 meters and an outer radius of 0.33 meters. How high can the motorcycle coast up the hill if you neglect friction? So, basically what we're saying is that the energy of the system initially is going to equal the energy of the system finally. This is going to be really hard to do with just pure kinematics due to the fact that we have so many unknowns. And that's one clue if you're looking at a problem like this on a test and there's just way too many unknowns. It's going to be very complicated and not straightforward to do it with kinematics. You might want to try to use the conservation of energy first. So, what is the motorcycle doing initially? The motorcycle is heading towards a hill with a given velocity. That means that it has kinetic energy. So, the initial kinetic energy of the motorcycle is going to equal what it's doing finally. Well, what is the motorcycle doing finally? It goes up this hill, and we want to see how high it can go up the hill. That means that it's basically going up until it can't anymore. And so it's going to be at rest. So, where has all this energy gone? It's gone into gravitational potential energy. The potential energy that motorcycle has now being a certain distance off the ground. We can model this with a triangle pretty simply. The motorcycle was initially here, it goes up the hill, and now it's at rest here. So this distance is effectively what we're trying to find. Okay, so now that we have this, let's break this down a little further. Because the kinetic energy of the motorcycle is not simply just the translational kinetic energy. So if we think about a motorcycle, we could really dumb it down to the wheels and the body. Now the wheels of a motorcycle are rolling, and they're in perfect rolling without slipping. And what that means is that the wheels contain rotational kinetic energy because they're rolling, but also translational kinetic energy because the wheels are going forward. The body, it's not rolling or anything, so it just has translational kinetic energy. So when we model this, we want to say the kinetic energy, translational, plus the rotational kinetic energy is going to equal the gravitational potential energy. And so we can break this up even further into the actual components. So if you worked in physics and you've got to this point, hopefully that you know that translational kinetic energy is 1/2 mv squared. But what m are we going to use? Well, this 220 kilograms is the mass of the entire motorcycle. That means the body plus the tires. And thus, it covers all our bases. It covers the translational kinetic energy in the wheels as well as the translational kinetic energy in the body. So we can use it. And I'm just going to denote it like that. And this is the initial velocity. Okay? Plus, we have the kinetic energy that is rotational. And we can model this rotational kinetic energy as 1/2 IW squared. 1/2 I. I is the moment of inertia, and it depends on the object that we're analyzing here. So in this specific example, we're looking at an annular ring. So we need the rotational kinetic energy now. And this rotational kinetic energy, the formula for rotational kinetic energy is, I'm going to write it to the side first, 1/2 I omega squared. Omega is the angular velocity, and I is the moment of inertia. So the moment of inertia depends on the shape of the thing that you are analyzing. So in this case, we're looking at annular rings. What's an annular ring if you don't know? An annular ring is kind of like a hoop, but now we're defining that the hoop has an inner radius and an outer radius, and we're acknowledging that there's mass here. So this is an annular ring. And so the moment of inertia of an annular ring is what we're going to use. We have two wheels, so we're going to multiply this by 2, and we're just going to use that formula, 1/2 I, and the I is going to be of annular ring, omega squared. This is of the wheel. And all of this equals the gravitational potential energy, which is the mass of everything. So we'll label it the same as we did here, times gravitational constant, times the height. And remember, this height is what we're after. So we want to solve for the height. So before we solve for the height, we still need to break this up a little bit more. And we need to break it up in regards to this I value, the annular ring's moment of inertia. So let's bring this down. So the moment of inertia of an annular ring is the mass of the ring, which we were given, times the inner radius squared plus the outer radius squared. And so while we're breaking things down, we can also break down angular velocity. So we have the initial velocity, as we used there, and we have the radius. So if we take a look at this shape here, the full radius is going to be equal to the outer radius. So we're just going to say R out here. And then that still equals. And now we're basically ready to solve. Okay, so we have this equation. And now let's just plug in our numbers. You should end up getting a value where H equals 68.29 meters. Okay, so part B of this problem states how much energy is lost to the friction if the height actually equals 31 meters. So let's take a look here. So we found originally on the previous page that the height is, neglecting friction, that the height is 68.29 meters. The motorcycle goes up and reaches a total height of 68.29 meters. And so if it's now only reaching 31 meters, obviously we're getting some sort of loss of energy. So let's rewrite our energy equation, because it's no longer that simple kinetic energy initial equals gravitational potential energy final. It's a bit more complicated. So now let's take a look. Now we have the translational kinetic energy. We still have that, plus the kinetic energy that is rotational, supplied by the wheels, minus the work that friction does. So we're basically saying we have the translational like last time, we have the rotational like last time. What's different? It's friction. Friction is applying a negative work to these two forces to ultimately end up with a smaller gravitational potential energy at the end. And so when we substitute all these values, we break this up into 1/2 m of the motorcycle, the initial squared, plus 1/2 and then we can substitute all our values in again, but I'm just going to leave it simply as the I of the annular ring times the angular velocity and minus the work due to friction equals mgh. And now that we have this h value, we can basically substitute it in, and we are able to solve for this work that friction does on the equation. So we can bring work over to the other side, and then just bring this over, and ultimately when you do solve for work, you get the work done by friction equals 80,555.46 newtons. So that's a big energy loss.